Yes guys, welcome to a brand new video. My name is Conan and today we're going to be going over exactly what you should be doing if you're skinny fat. Should you bulk? Should you cut? Should you main gain? All of that we're going to be covering in today's video. So if you're excited for today's video, could you please be sure to go give this video a thumbs up. Also, while you're at it, might as well absolutely just destroy that subscribe button. Don't actually destroy it, just like lightly tap it, but like, you know what I mean. So just please make sure you do those two things. I would highly appreciate it. Anyway, now that that's out of the way, let's get into it. Before we talk about what you should be doing if you're skinny fat, we should first define what skinny fat actually means, because it sounds like an oxymoron, because how can you both be skinny and fat at the same time? Like the 2 and 2 doesn't really sound like they could go hand in hand. Like how could you both be skinny and fat at the same time? Like just simply thinking about it, that doesn't make sense, because skinny is one thing and then being fat is another thing. So how do the two combine? Well, I'm gonna put a picture on the screen right now of what I used to look before I even started lifting or being mindful of my diet. So as you guys can tell, there's absolutely nothing going on here. I have zero muscle, like absolutely not even a gram. On top of that, my body fat percentage was quite high as well. So like I kind of look fat as well. And so the 2 and 2 hand in hand pretty much defines a skinny fat person. And now in technical terms, I would probably classify anyone being skinny fat with somebody that does not have any muscle on them and also has a high body fat percentage. So usually above 20 to 25% body fat or higher, and with no muscle mass is someone that classifies as being skinny fat. Alright guys, I'm starting to warm up. The hood is coming off. Anyway, so now that we've defined what a skinny fat person is, what should you be doing? What is the first thing you should do to get out of this whole situation? Because obviously, like, I'm just gonna assume like you don't want to be skinny fat. Like it's not an ideal situation to be in. Like you don't really look good, you're not strong, you're not fat, you're not skinny, you're just an in-between type of person. Like I don't know about you guys, but I'd rather be classified as someone that's either skinny or someone that's fat or someone that's muscular or someone that's jacked or someone that's ripped, but not someone that's skinny fat. Like that's just like on the bottom of like the list of things you want to be called. So what should you do to get out of this whole situation? Now the first thing I'd recommend anyone to do before you even start thinking about your diet is to simply just start training. Put some stimulus on your muscles so you actually have a reason to actually like not be skinny anymore and actually have some muscle on you, because honestly, I'll just say it right now, you'll look a whole lot better if you're muscular and fat than skinny and fat, because simply having more muscle on you, you'll simply just look a lot better than being skinny and fat at the same time. So first things first, don't even worry about your diet. Just really focus on going into the gym at least 2 to 3 times per week. Follow a super basic full body workout split. Make sure you're focusing on just doing the basic exercises. So a really quick example for your legs, focus on a hip hinge movement. For your hamstrings, such as a deadlift, a Romanian deadlift, a trap bar deadlift, a sumo deadlift, whatever type of deadlift you want to do. And then a squat variation. So it could be a back squat, a front squat, a hack squat with a machine, a split squat, lunge, or anything like that to target your quads. And then for the upper body, any vertical pushing movement for your shoulders, overhead press, a seated dumbbell press, something for your shoulders, and then a horizontal pushing movement for your chest. So a bench press, incline press, dumbbell press, machine press, and then for your back, a vertical pull such as a pull-up or a lat pull-down, and then a vertical movement such as a row, a barbell row, a machine row, whatever type of row. Once you've identified a couple basic compound exercises for your entire body, focus on progressively overloading them. So obviously make sure your technique is on point before you start adding a load to it. Once your technique is on point and once you start getting used to the movement, just focus on applying progressive overload. And now there's so many ways that you can progressively overload an exercise. You can either increase the rate, increase the sets, increase the reps, even decrease your rest time in between sets, improve your mind muscle connection. There's so many ways you can progressively overload an exercise. So don't simply think that you gotta add 5 pounds to the bar each and every week. Like no, I mean, it is one of the ways you can progressively overload, but again, there are so many different ways you can do this. So once you're kind of in the groove of exercising regularly, you're in the gym 2 to 3, even 4 times per week now, you're getting stronger with the basic compound lifts. After a couple months, if not weeks, you'll start seeing some pretty good progress. And now what's really cool about being skinny fat is that you're pretty much at like the lowest point you can be at. And now I'm not trying to be offensive here, but you're literally like, it's almost going to be impossible for you to look any worse. So you're starting off at a pretty good point, because pretty much anything you do, I mean, you'll see some pretty good results and you'll start looking a whole lot better. So that is one advantage you have. It doesn't really matter what you do, as long as you do something, you'll make a bit of progress and you'll look a bit better. Anyway, so after a couple months, if not weeks, depending on how fast you progress and depending on your genetics and stuff, you'll start seeing some pretty good results, and you'll pretty much immediately get out of your whole skinny fat situation, because now instead of being skinny fat, you're actually a bit more muscular and fat. So that's a whole lot better than being skinny fat. And also, because you're a beginner, you actually have the possibility of both losing fat and building muscle at the same time, which is something called a body recomposition. Now let's get into the diet. So now that we're in the habit of training regularly, what should you be doing with your diet? So again, we mentioned that you can either cut, bulk, or main gain. And now what I did personally is I pretty much just ate at a caloric maintenance, which means you're not really trying to cut or bulk too aggressively. You're pretty much just eating at maintenance, which means you're eating exactly what your body needs to maintain its weight. Because again, you'll pretty much just lose body fat and gain muscle at the same time, because you're still relatively new to this whole lifting thing. So I do highly recommend to just eat at a caloric maintenance. And now obviously, when it comes to your whole food and macronutrient breakdown, I always suggest 1 gram per pound of body weight of protein. Don't try to overcomplicate it. Anything more is great, but anything less isn't going to be the end of the world. So as long as you're within the ballpark of 1 gram per pound of body weight, you should be good to go. When it comes to your fats, I think you should have a minimum amount of healthy fats in your diet, because in the past I've been on diets where I pretty much just neglected all fats, and I'd noticed that my hormonal functions would just plummet. Like my sex drive, my libido, my testosterone, everything will just go downhill, and that's not an ideal situation to be in. So obviously I do recommend having some healthy fats in your diet. So I usually recommend having 0.4 grams of fat per pound of body weight. So let's say, for example, you're 150 pounds, you times that by 0.4. Just pull up the calculator here real quick, do some quick math here. 60 grams of fat. So if you're a 150 pound individual, I recommend having at least 60 grams of fat within your diet every single day. So now that we know how much protein you need and how much fat you need, the rest of your calories you can pretty much just fill in with carbohydrates. So obviously fat has 9 calories per gram and protein has 4 calories per gram. So if you're eating 160 grams of fat, that's 6 times 90, which is 540 calories. And then if you're eating 150 grams of protein, that's 600 calories. So depending on how many calories you need in order to maintain your weight, the rest of those calories you pretty much just fill in with your carbs. Now hold on a second. It's all cool knowing how much protein, carbs, and fat you need within your diet, but how do I actually figure out my maintenance calories? That's a good question. For your maintenance calories, there's obviously a whole lot of online calorie calculators out there that will give you an estimate of how many calories you need in order to maintain your weight. And although that is a good kind of estimate, they're not 100% accurate. Everything you see online, I mean, none of it is going to be 100% accurate, because no one knows your body as well as you do. So what I encourage you to do is, I mean, sure, you can kind of use one of these online calorie calculators to kind of get an estimate of how much you need, but I highly recommend to just use trial and error. So what I recommend you guys to do is simply just keep track of what you're eating, keep track of your calories and macros and stuff like that, and along with that, keep track of your weight as well. Let's say, for example, you're eating 2,500 calories every single day, and for the next 7 days your weight pretty much stays the same. If that's the case for you, you know that 2,500 calories is your maintenance calories. Like, it's not that difficult, guys. Literally just use some trial and error, stick to a certain amount of calories for at least a week, see how your weight fluctuates throughout the week, and based on what the scale says, you pretty much know what your calories are. So let's say, for example, again, you're eating 2,500 calories and you notice that over the course of a week you're actually losing weight. Well, now you know that you're definitely in a caloric deficit, which means you're eating less calories than you burn every single day. So what I would recommend you to do is just add 200, maybe 300 more calories into your diet, and then do the whole process again, see how your weight fluctuates, and if you notice that you're actually maintaining your weight now, you know that those calories are your maintenance calories. If, however, you actually notice you're eating 2,500 calories and you're actually gaining weight, now you know that you're in a caloric surplus, which means you're eating more calories than you burn every single day. So if you want to find your maintenance calories, I recommend to just drop your calories by 200 or 300 calories, and now you know you're at a caloric maintenance. Again, guys, it is that simple. I know I kind of oversimplified this whole thing, but it is truly that simple. So when it comes to your your cardio, I highly recommend, instead of doing any strict form of cardio such as running on a treadmill or on the elliptical, I recommend to just go outside and get your steps in. So I do highly recommend to get anywhere from about 8 to 10,000 steps in every single day, just as a general rule of thumb, because you'd be surprised how many calories you can actually add up to burning every single day. And I've also noticed that getting your steps in by simply just going on walks every single day actually has the least interference to your actual workouts as well, because the impact it has on your body is pretty much minimal and you actually end up burning quite a few hundred calories every single day. So instead of doing any like high intensity interval training, which has a pretty big impact on your training sessions and your joints, I recommend to just go outside, go on walks, go on nature walks, take your dog for a walk, just be active throughout the day, get your steps in, and that is my preferred form of cardio. Alrighty guys, excuse this interruption, but right here we got some high protein peanut butter made with chickpeas and powdered peanut butter, otherwise called peanut butter. Get it? Because like pea as in like chickpea and like not as in like not butter. I thought that was pretty funny. Anyway, so we got this dip right here. I actually made it with some vegan protein powder, and the texture and consistency is actually quite nice. Nice little switch up from your traditional whey type of protein powders. And then on the side here, we just got a big plate of apples. So basically the gist here is you're gonna take your apple, you're gonna take your dip, and you're gonna basically just dip your apple into the dip. And that's pretty much what it's looking like. High protein peanut butter dip, chocolate peanut butter dip. So here we go. That is delicious. Now you're probably wondering, Conan, how did you make this delicious tasting peanut butter spread? It's very simple. All you're gonna do is take some chickpeas, add some coconut flour, a scoop of vegan protein powder, some low calorie syrup, and then you're gonna put it all inside of a blender. You're gonna blend it until it's nice and blended and thick. Then that's pretty much it. Then on the side you can do whatever fruit you want. I went for some apples, and yeah, that's basically it. Super easy, high protein little snack right here. Anyway, let's get back into the video. So that's pretty much it, guys. I really do want to emphasize the point of, if you are a beginner and you are skinny fat, just simply start training, because obviously the whole reason you are skinny fat is because you don't have any muscle on you. So the first thing I would worry about is to just get yourself in a gym or even do some home workouts. If you guys want like an example of what exercises you should do or how you should structure your training, I've made a couple videos on my YouTube channel right over here, so you can go check that out if you want. And so yeah, again guys, make sure you're training. That's the first and biggest thing you should worry about. Just get yourself in a gym, make sure you're training hard, progressively overload the compound lifts. Once that's kind of taken care of, you can start focusing more on your nutrition. Once that's taken care of, after a couple months, you start looking pretty good, and now you're finally at a point where you can decide whether you want to cut or bulk, obviously depending on what your long-term goals are. So I really do hope that this video made somewhat sense to you guys. I really tried to simplify it because honestly it isn't that difficult. It is a pretty simple process. But if you guys do have any further questions for me, please feel free to ask me in the comment section down below, and I'll definitely get back to you. Anyway, with that said, if you guys enjoyed this video, please be sure to go give this video a thumbs up. I would highly appreciate it. Subscribe to my channel if you're new, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.